Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first ever end of season testing, which is going to be interesting. Lots of debuts and lots of new names on new teams, which is always interesting. And of course, the debut of the BMW engine, which are running their testing spec engine with the McLaren. Don't expect it to be anything crazy here because it will not be run at full power. But yeah, we are here. I will run down the lineup soon, but I'll introduce the main commentator of today. It's going to be our new champion, Franco Gamba.
Thank you for this introduction. So yeah, my study to the curriculum. Hello everyone, and yeah, there we go for the first day of sort of new season introduction, sort of because there are a lot of people who are still driving as current test drivers, but some people are going to drive their future car and we will introduce them soon when the lineups will be shown, of course, by Jerry.
Yeah, I could do it now. So the lineups for today's test. So Red Bull will run Evan Byrne and Daniel Adventure. Mercedes will run Franco Lopez and Rifki Fakhrisain. Ferrari will run Jake Galloway and Dennis Graf again. Renault will run Roman Guak and Hendo Sinonom. Lamborghini will run Laura Chang and Darabos Daniel. McLaren will run Kirosima De Rosa and Honmin and Nguyen. I completely messed that name up. Aston Martin will run Andrea Federi and Jonatas Martins. Alfa Romeo will run Ben Waldinger and Amelia Wilson. Haas will run Michael Mozzo and Bartosz Kloss. Williams will run Jamie Griffiths and Adam Chobot, and Alpha Tower will run David Kubok and Ruslan Protsiuk. Something to note, the new drivers who have or drivers who don't have anything ready, they will run generic helmets from that are fitting. So, for example, Jonatas Martins, whose helmet I don't have yet, is running Lance Stroll's Aston Martin helmet. So that's that. I don't think it's going to be that distracting. And everybody who's been driving, who had helmets ready, have their current season's helmet on their car. But yeah,
So yeah, sorry.
yeah, you can. I will now reveal the weather, which is going to be interesting because it's raining. And now Franco can take the stage.
All right. So of course, yeah, as Joe said, it's a bit like the MotoGP end of season test, and it is sort of. And yeah, you can see that actually it's going to be changeable conditions because at the start we will have extreme wet, probably conditions, to then going to be more drier through the end of the session. And it's going to be interesting to see a lot of new people debuting with their new current team, with their new teams, especially Evan Byrne with Red Bull, for example. And there we go. We are seeing now all the drivers on their cars. As you can see, Dan is here, Ben Waldinger and Amelia Wilson. So first time in an F1 car for Martins and Waldinger, and I think some test drivers as well. I think Chobo has never done a practice session. Surely Daniel is going to be to drive his first ever session in an F1 car, and is going out on track. Gift from Lamborghini for having finished last in the F2 standings. Of course, I'm joking, but yeah, sort of strange season from him. Last race he has won, and he still finished last, and not getting retained by is F2 team.
Yeah.
Oh, everyone has done a practice session. So sorry, I didn't knew
Yeah,
that. So
everybody's
fair enough.
done a practice session at least once. Of course, next season the reserve drivers need to be more active to get any sessions done. They need to be active with their team's main drivers to get sessions. But yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's going to be the last time for now that Darabos Daniel is going to drive an F1 car, and also who knows, maybe an open wheel car as well, because I don't know where did he signed up, because he's not getting retained in F2 or somewhere else, maybe TTM, Formula E, I don't know. But yeah. Here it is. Darrell Daniel driving the race winner's car of Rahul Patel, and is going to begin his lap. So, end of season has been actually interesting because Lamborghini has made huge step forward, even if the car has been a lot of unreliable with Laura Chang especially. But generally, that's been a good season for Lamborghini, as also we said yesterday. It was very difficult to see Lamborghini winning the championship, as you guys mentioned yesterday in the discussion stream. And yeah, it has been a positive season, debut season for Lamborghini.
Yeah,
We are
of
now
course.
seeing that.
Of course, I think Lamborghini helped a bit that the cars of the season have been very close pace-wise, and their drivers did really well, even though Lara suffered for what I call is a glass suspension in that car. But yeah, Sinonome is almost spinning out.
Right. Doing nearly the same mistake as Evan Byrne did in the race day, but luckily he managed to keep it under control and not causing any mess. And behind him there's the new Renault driver, Roman Quag, going from Alfa Romeo to Renault. It's going to be an interesting step for him because actually Roman has done a good season overall.
Yeah,
first half, he has been very good.
Yeah.
Then he had a sort of blackout. With some races, he completely got outshone by Federi, even if Federi was unlucky. But yeah, he got outpaced by him. And then the final races, he did very well to get that Renault seat in place of Julius Anderson.
Yeah, Roman had an impressive return to the OC, and especially on races he was doing really well. Of course, the Alfa Romeo itself was fast but unreliable. But yeah, good season.
Absolutely, I think that Alfa Romeo is probably one of the biggest what ifs in terms of let's say in general, it was predicted that Alfa Romeo would have been 7th fastest alone, but they still managed to finish behind Aston Martin, which is, I think, seriously disappointing. But most of their problems are from or bad luck or reliability. So yeah, it has been a good season, but could have been a lot better.
Just look at the USA GP.
Yeah, USA GP, they actually, I think there was the mess with George and Raul, and George was slowing down, and then I think Kibra got damaged and Quag as well next. They had the problem when he was fighting for the podium, so yeah, it would have been probably I don't think a double top 5, but easily a double top 10 with important points for them would have been possible. So yeah. sums up their season.
Yes, exactly.
Anyway, so at the moment, the new Renault driver, Roman Quag, leading the field. Of course, these times are a bit irrelevant right now because, conditions are quite difficult. And of course, McLaren as well is running with a new engine, with a sort of prototype BMW engine. So of course it's difficult to expect McLaren going quite fast, even if that right now it's helping, these conditions helps them to have less gap to the front, because rain condition usually tends to shake up a bit the field, so it's sort of help for them.
Yeah.
And
I think the best times will come at the last 5 minutes of this session.
yeah, judging the weather changeable, how changeable is the weather, it has been probably said by the weather forecast that in like maybe the final 10 minutes we will have sort of intermediate conditions. And we are now seeing Franco Lopez, and of course it hasn't been his season this year. He had a lot of bad luck in general, but it's fairly to say that he got outshone by Armor Car overperforming the car. Just to look in general how Mercedes was it was impossible for Mercedes to fighting for the title. Their medium qualifying position was like 8.8 for Armor Car, and Franco had like 10 points something, so it was very, very low position. During race days, Mercedes did quite well, but in qualifying pace on paper, Mercedes was one of the slowest of the, let's say, car competing at the front. So it's a sort of miracle that we even seen a Mercedes ending up battling for the title, and Mercedes in general finishing second in team standing. So meanwhile, your graph goes a little bit wide, and then AlphaTauri right behind him nearly collected him. And 2022 Mercedes is predicted to be better on the thing you have posted on their signups. So maybe we will see, who knows, a Mercedes versus Ferrari versus Red Bull title again next season. Might be the case, I don't know, but
well, depends. Ferrari had their trend being down, so who knows if they can challenge. I think they wasted this season. I honestly do think Ferrari wasted this season. They, especially Chatfield, had showed that the car had some really high potential, but they wasted the first half of the season doing nothing.
In general, there was races where it was both Ferrari giving strange strategies to Chatfield, and both Chatfield not performing well, and at the same time Chatfield having problems when he was in strong positions. Like I can remember, for example, when in Spain he was on a one-stop strategy, but was going to probably to finish on a podium. He had like a transmission failure and had to retire. And it wasn't the only case this season, so I can actually watch which races actually Chatfield didn't finish the first half of the season, because there were a lot. So there we go. So basically Monaco as well. He was going to win. I can remember this, and there was the crash with Raul in the wall at Raskas, and he collected Raul's car through the last corner, and it wasted him a potential win. But it wasn't. It was another reason. He got actually. He had a bug with Kupok at the pit entry when the race was finishing. I think he was fighting for the win as well that time around, and Kupok went into the wall, and his car somehow went into the other wall of the pit entry. So this
Thankfully,
basically
Monaco is out now.
Yeah, you realize now, guys, how easy it was to remove Monaco. I mean, in general, yeah, we have seen some sort of overtakes this season, like Laura and myself, and but in general, the madness in Monaco is not actually a good thing.
Yeah, like
You
I honestly, I would not mind if Monaco was just boring, almost no overtakes race. Like that's what it is in real life. But the bugs are what always get me. To the issues with the track, where the incidents. That's just where I put the line.
Yeah, but I can actually remember that the day where Monaco was announced to be dropped by the calendar, it was a celebration probably for everyone in the community. And meanwhile, Mocho returning to F1, going a bit off the track, doing a sort of drift to celebrate his return to F1, which isn't exactly seen as good to everyone, but of course everyone is joking. Let's clear this, of course.
He was good in Formula E, and he's trying to regain his reputation as a driver. So let's see. Next season might be interesting to see what he can or cannot do.
Might be interesting to see us in general because.
Notice who is leading at the moment.
Oh, Miklos Gal. No, sorry, Galloway. And yeah, so we are now. I was saying that is going to be very interesting next season because the team is expected to improve. So we might see them fighting maybe for the midfield. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe they could be consistent point scorers.
Oh, even so that's actually interesting. Maybe they can get back their 2018 form.
Because of how close this season has been, like the changes in terms of pecking order could be a bit higher, or then they might not be higher. Of course, what is basically given is that the cars calculated pace between the field is going to be bigger than it was this season. Like it is expected to be between 2 to 3 seconds between the best and the worst car, while this season it was only 1.6 seconds.
Well, I guess good luck to whoever will drive the car, which will be 2 or 3 seconds lower, because it's going to be a pain in the ass.
Well, you can always bring up a surprise. Just a reminder that Griffiths got a podium in a 2020 Williams, which is worse than any car that this season had.
Yeah. Basically, that race was madness, but Jamie did a legendary drive that race. I can remember this. He was also lucky because he got a strategy which impeded him even to finish second. He would have been second if he got more fuel, but he didn't add enough fuel to the end, and he had to pit again. I remember that then he overtook think it was Miklos, and then another car. I don't remember which car, but he actually, after overtaking that car, he was on the podium. God, it was close here between Jamie, speaking of him, and the Aston Martin.
Luckily, Jamie had the reflexes to dodge the Aston Martin.
Yeah. Luckily, yes. It would have been a big crash, but luckily it wasn't. So, yeah. I think it was Martins because Federer is now coming onto the finish line to improve his time a little bit. And yeah, now we're seeing Ruslan Prostyuk, another one who was close to join F1 for a few seasons. Not at all this season, because probably Benz Waldinger was the main candidate, since his F2 season this year has been quite good. Even if the past season of Benz, I can recall last season where he actually had a bad season. He finished like 21st or last even. I don't remember this, but 2 seasons ago he did well, so that probably saved him on getting the seat. Yeah, we are seeing Graf finishing the lap in 4th place with a slipstream of the Mercedes of Rivki Fakhrizadeh, driving for the final time for Mercedes.
Yeah, so, he's no longer the test driver or the reserve driver next season.
Yeah, Ennis is going to be Mercedes reserve driver.
Yeah, of course, Ennis this season has had the connection of also driving for Mercedes in Formula E. His season there wasn't anything special, but maybe he's hoping to improve, depending on if he gets a seat, and where he gets a seat we don't know yet, because the sign-ups haven't actually closed yet for one of the series.
Alright, no, sorry, Formula E has closed last night.
Yeah.
For Jump Car is closing tonight?
Yeah.
Alright, so yeah, basically for those people who haven't signed up yet and are watching this video, if you want to sign up, these are the last 5 or 6 hours that you can actually sign up and have the hope to join in the championship. Tomorrow. So tomorrow. All right. So you have 30 hours to sign up and to have the chance to most likely joining the championship, judging that a lot of sign-ups in the World Champ Car are for is incorrect. Joe is saying it's incorrect. They're closing at 11 p.m. tomorrow. Right. Fair enough. So yeah, you have the chance. Anyway, returning to talk about the testings. Right now it's Jake Galloway leading with in second and Graf in third. At the first half, I thought it was Miklos Gal because his abbreviation is Gal, but Gal is not there today. Yeah, he's not driving. It's Prostyuk, and in the first half, I thought it was Gal. So yeah, we're now seeing Evan Byrne in his new team for 2022 Red Bull. Did Evan got a new helmet? I think.
No, the drivers are using their 2021 helmets if they had one.
All right, I guess so. Evan removed the Renault logos because he don't want probably to hear about Renault for the rest of his life after the terrible 2021 in terms of
I mean, he's already
Not
showed us what
results.
his next season helmet looks like.
Yeah, I already seen it posted on the general chat, so it's quite good. Anyway, McLaren BMW so far, yeah, it's a bit at the back, but it was expected, so don't panic, guys. The car is not running on full power. Oh, it's been a Red Bull helmet for like 2 months now. You know, I never recognized that because I rarely watch the helmets of the driver, so I didn't actually realize it was a Red Bull helmet for like 2 months. So apologies for that. But yeah, that's a good helmet, by the way. Anyway, also it's the final session for Adam Chobot as a Williams test driver. Adam Chobot as well has been he did a good season F2 again, but never had the real chance to be a championship contender. Maybe a little bit in 2020, but this year he has been a bit off the pace. He actually liked to sign up for new teams coming to the series. Last year it was iTech's first season, and he was one of iTech's drivers. And this year the same with VAR when they replaced the HWA. And yeah, in general, Adam Chobot is not bad as driver, but it could have been a little bit better. It would be interesting to see once in the future, maybe him in an F1 car. But in general, I can actually say that a lot of drivers who did quite well in F2, who didn't sign up for F1, could have gotten easily a seat here in F1. So I made an example. Summit deciding to not signing up for this season for the next season F1.
Don't worry, it was a tactical decision.
Yeah, it was a tactical decision, but it's a sort of strange decision because as we have seen now with Aaron, Aaron got a terrible season this year, to be fair, because he scored like only one podium across all season, and I don't know how in the rankings he has been in F2, but
in my opinion, if you are racing in F2 or DTM and you are doing well, you need to take that chance because those two series are the places where you can be that star on one season and completely drop off in the next. While now in Champ Car or Formula E, I could understand staying in for a little bit longer because in those series you do know that you are going to be competitive if you get a certain team.
For example, Klaus actually did the right thing, signing up for us, and he got the seat. Of course, there was Amelia leaving the team, and Fraser doing probably one of the worst season in recent years for an F1 driver did. Not the worst, but one of the worst. So probably these factors helped him to get a seat, as they helped Mocho to get the last seat. And it seems fair to say that open wheels car are actually not suitable so far for Daniel Fraser. It has been difficult for him to adapt probably to the open wheel series. When in closed wheel series, we can remember BTCC or DTM, he did quite well, and also even in DTM he has won the championship in 2019. So 2019. So it's a sort of mystery how he hasn't performed well in these last two seasons.
Yeah, He's one of those drivers who actually had quite high expectations when he joined, but it just didn't materialize.
Yeah, indeed. Same for. I hope for him he will have the same faith of Bartus Claus in the least time possible, because of course Claus was 5 seasons away from the F1 paddock, and it has been a good redemption from him in the closed wheel series, in DTM, and now in World Champ Car again in the open wheel series. But during his seasons in DTM, he has performed quite well, I have to admit. It seems to be a new driver, and last season, the season that now has ended, he actually fought for the title until the end with Bruno at the end winning it, but he did actually quite well with Penske, so it's a sort of redemption from him, and he seems to be, as Evan mentioned few various times, a new driver compared to the one we have seen in 2015.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a long time since he had that horrible season, and now he's coming back. And I do have quite. I'm not expecting him to work miracles, but I'm expecting him to completely put his weak season back. As we see a car on the normal wet tires, the Alfa Romeo.
Oh yeah, it's think Benz Waldinger.
Automatic
I
camera doesn't want
think.
to show us, but the track is getting better.
Yeah, we're seeing probably sort of not yet dry line, but track seems to be a little bit visible. And yeah, Joe mentioned actually De Rosa's P2 with the new BMW engine, so well done to Kiro to set the second fastest time. But yeah, in general, it's fair to say that this session hasn't actually provided us a lot of things so far.
Yeah, and since it's the season's over, and there are so many new drivers in teams we haven't used to seen them before, there's lots of things to talk about in this.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Baldinger, speaking of new drivers, has passed here the Williams. So maybe the wet tires are right now the right choice. Let's see now him coming onto the first sector, and
it's not fast
not
yet,
up.
but it could
It's
also be because he had to overtake the Williams.
Yes, and maybe in sector 2 you might make the difference. Let's see. Here it seems to be a bit slow right now, but maybe it's just for warming up the tires. Yeah. So
Mercedes are fighting in front of them.
Yeah, it's I think maybe Adventure and Rifki. Yeah, Rifki, because Lopez is in the pits. So yeah, Red Bull and Mercedes can't get enough to fight. Even test drivers. And yeah, we're now seeing Klaus. So far in 17th place. So it's nothing bad, but let's say having probably setting up a fast time in the post-season testing actually helps maybe a little bit the morale of a person, but at the same time these tests actually are irrelevant in general, so take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the first sector here from Benz is not slow. 3/10 slower, and maybe let's see if in sector 2 in graph
went
now
wide.
wildly wide. and he's improving with his monsoon tires. And it's his last session as an F1 test driver, driving more probably, as we joked with Jiri before the stream started, driving more than the current Ferrari drivers did probably all season for all the sessions, free practice session he did. And yeah.
now the lap times are starting to drop as Chang goes top and Byrne goes P3.
And now I want to see if Baldinger is improving. Oh, Min is on normal wets, so
The
Huamin
normal
Nguyen
wets
is.
are not yet significantly faster than the extremes.
Yes, indeed. It seems that so far all the worn monsoon tires are going to work so far. As Daniel is not improving at the moment. And yeah, Graf is actually leaving Ferrari after season, because last season it was close to test driver. And yeah, last season Graf was in Williams, if I remember correctly. As a test driver, of course.
Yeah, I think he was, but I don't actually remember.
Me too, but I just remember that he has been a test driver for various season.
Yeah, now of course he had a weak season in F2 and no teams wanted him as a test driver.
Yes, sad moment from him, and hope he will get his redemption in the future. As now, speaking of him, it's funny. Yeah, surely. Graph remover can be dead like this. Yeah. Probably people coming into the box are probably going to return on track with wet tires.
Yeah, it's been now 30 minutes and this is when the rain should be lighter now. Of course the weather screen is not always accurate, but I do think the track might get better, even more better soon.
And now Min is not improving, and we are here with another new driver going a little bit wide, is Andrea Federi, who would have probably gotten a top 5 on Wednesday until Alfa Romeo decided to say sayonara and leaving him off the track without a possibility to finish the race. Andrea Federi has did an alright season in general. His championship position doesn't actually mark his real value. As we said with Jiri yesterday and with the guys in the discussion stream, Federi is fair to say that it's called a qualifying merchant because his qualifying pace has been quite good for the car he had, but in the race days he has been a bit weaker compared to especially teammate Romain Quag, who did a lot of good performances. Probably Federi's main highlight of the season was the possible second place he would have gotten at Silverstone if he wasn't taken out by Franco in the last lap. So yeah, basically this sums up.
That will in the end go down as a low moment, even though he did deserve that podium. He had an amazing performance there.
He was also lucky for the fact that all the cars till 11th place were finishing the race, so he finished classified as 11th, so he didn't even got a point. So in a smaller track, like for example Hungaroring, 5 or 6 cars would have finished on full laps if the performance of the winner was dominant. But it wasn't the case, and Federi finished the race in 11th as classified. So yeah. Meanwhile, people coming onto the box. Oh
Oh!
god, this was a big
Oh!
crash, and he flipped. Adam Chobot, big crash here before the pit entry. Sadly, it's always a common bug here at Sao Paulo, and the wheel on trough, and the wheel in the middle of the track. I hope that no one will hit that. And the crash was between not Franco Lopez. It was with Bartus Close and Adam Chobot. And it's the classic situation where actually the driver coming into the pit entry slow down too much, and the driver coming with full throttle actually can't brake too much and actually can't do anything else than hit the driver coming onto the pit entry. So yeah,
Since this will count as a pit lane glitch, it will not go into the spare car rule, so Jobot will be allowed to come back on track if he wants to.
yeah, and also let's say in general it has been also an unfortunate accident as well, because and yes, Joe, of course, it won't count. And Jonathan Martins as well is another guy who will be interesting to see next season. Of course, he has just won the championship in F2, but as you guys said yesterday, and as we said before the stream started, actually, if Martins was going to be a vice champion, there was a possibility that actually Roland Motion would have stayed in the Aston Martin for next season, as meanwhile Graf goes fastest, and basically Martin's winning the F2 championship brought him to F1 directly.
Yeah, and of course, this is only his third season overall in the GP4 OC, so you could say he is a very young driver. It's going to be interesting what he can do with Aston Martin, whose team trend after a disappointing 2021 is still down. So we don't know what kind of car he's going to get, and if he's going to be able to get anything out of this. But his best indicator is to beat his teammate, of course.
And if he can actually manage to beat him in qualifying, it can prove that he might be very good. Because of course, his teammate is one of the. He's probably he has been the best qualifier of the 2021 field in general compared to teammate. And meanwhile here, wets are working quite well
Yeah,
at the moment.
Graf has actually used them to go fastest.
And Ferrari right now is in first and second place, so it's a Ferrari 1-2 as of right now. Martin's coming onto straight and he's not improving. Here is Dennis trying to overtake the Williams of Chobot, as you have the yellow on board, so it's Aram Chobot in Felix Sontag's car. And Martin's now coming onto the first sector, and he's not improving at the moment. Synonym improves in 6th and Waldinger in 14th. And speaking of Synonym, I heard that if Mocho wouldn't have finished as the Formula E champion, and Synonym would have had results during the first part of the F2 season, he might have been a possible outsider for that seat in Haas.
Yeah, he could, but I think his F2 season overall just wasn't good enough last season.
I mean, the first half of the season. Oh God! Here once again we had a close moment. Oh my God! Chobot again, nearly hitting Federi, but luckily nothing happened. And I was saying, his first half of the season has been quite bad in general, but then the final few races he was doing quite well. And shame he didn't actually got results in the first part, because it would have been probably a real contender maybe.
Yeah.
Oh
Just
right,
too
what
little
Joe
too
said.
late.
If he did well at Interlagos, he could have an update, but he didn't, Joe said. So, yeah, I understand now. That's a shame, because I think that Synonym is one of the drivers that is to watch closely, because his recent season has been quite good in general. So,
Now lots of
such a
improvements
shame.
happening.
Oh, wow. Yeah, wet tires are clearly the faster tire, and of course Aston Martin put Martins on track with old monsoon tires. So basically, everyone is going to be close with him behind, and will be stuck until the straight will come, when they will overtake him. And now all the people are improving their times. Chang is now fastest, Graf in second, and De Rosa in third. The AlphaTauri here of QPOC improving in 10th, overtaking here Jonathan Martins. And yeah, of course, right now is everyone improving. Rifki Fakhrizadeh in his final session for Mercedes. How many years actually Rifki has been the test driver for Mercedes? I lost the count of seasons, because
Quite some time,
it's a bit.
I think.
It's a bit. It's a bit. I remember this. It's like 4 or 5 seasons. I can count that. And Mocho improves to 6. Well done to him. Fakhrizadeh goes 4th.
Ooh, the hash is coming through.
It's Mocho. It's Mocho, because he's driving Fraser's car, and the Fraser car have the yellow on board. Close improves to 8th.
Oh, De Rosa
Maybe.
De Rosa made the fastest second sector and then locks up.
Let's see if it will be. It will cost him in the final sector. Probably he has lost here 2 times at least, but maybe the drag drying might help him to get a better time, but I don't think it will improve a lot. No, it doesn't improve. With Chang now going fastest and being the first person going under the
What's
120.
Daniel Adventure?
Oh well, 2.2
extreme
He's on
tires is what happened to
extreme
him.
tires. Extreme tires, and
he doesn't care about the time sheet. He's just going around.
And 40th place, so it's not even bad to be on extreme wet tires. And he's boxing this lap, but I don't think that he will have time to put wet tires. So it's probably is the session done and that's it. As meanwhile here we have Graf, who as well is going to return in the pits this lap. So it might be, this might be the last corners that Dennis Graf is doing for now in an F1 car. Close improves to 5th. So times now are going to improve more and more. And yeah, 2.5 minutes at the end. Oh no, here it's a sort of mess. What is happening here? Oh God, don't tell me. Then he saved it.
Look at this.
He saved it. There is always that bump in the pit entry. I can remember in recent season.
I mean, that's a way to enter the pits.
Yeah. So he ended up his F1 stint for now with style. So well done to Dennis. As here, Ruslan had the possibility to see him drifting. De Rossi improves to second, and it's now okay. I don't know
The team radio
where's.
is saying that there's debris, but I cannot see anything.
I think to pit entry before, but I don't think it's nothing serious. Anyway, 2 minutes to the end, and now Waldinger is improving. Maybe he will be on top 10. Yes, he is. But Wilson now goes faster and goes in 6th place. Fair to say, Emilia Wilson improved a lot in the last part of the season, by the way.
Yeah. She had a good end to the season and deserves the seat at Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that maybe before Mexico she wasn't safe at all. I mean, it wasn't sure that she would have gotten the seat so easily before.
Yeah, it wasn't 100% sure, but after performances like Mexico, it started to get more clear.
Yeah, also he did other doesn't race, of course, at Abu Dhabi, and meanwhile Chang improves fastest. What could have been for Laura Chang? I mean, she has been the second unluckiest driver on the grid. Of course, yeah. The main driver who has been the luckiest has been Evan in general, for obvious reasons.
Look at Federico,
but in general,
with the Aston Martin.
So fair enough to him. Fair enough to him, and Amelia is improving as well.
Actually, was purple in sector 1.
Whoa. Let's see, Amelia,
P7.
7th. And Martin is finally with the right tires, so well done to Aston Martin to have put him on the right tires. And now Fakhri Zain is passing the Brazilian, the only Brazilian on track, by the way, because Gomez isn't here. Min is improving and is going to get the check red flag, so I don't see who actually crossed the line before him.
Close.
Min finishes close, alright. So Min finishes in P13.
Lopez doesn't get another lap, he finishes P20.
P20, oh well. Synonym doesn't improve and finishes P12. Meanwhile, Quag is coming on P11. De Rossi improves in 2nd. Evan stays in 5th, with Darabos Daniel improving from 17th. Probably will go further up, and Darabos Daniel is improving in 13th. Federi 5th with Aston Martin. Fair enough. And now Galloway is going to cross the line and goes in top 3, 3rd place with 4 tenths down. And last lap here to be completed by Fakhri Zain before he actually leaves Mercedes, 2 tenths down. And let's see the final sector. Probably he could get ahead of Galloway if he have a good enough sector 3. Let's see. Fakhri Zain improves in 3rd. Well done to him. Martins improves to 18th.
And we are done.
Plus 9. We are done. So Chang the fastest, De Rossi in 2nd, and Fakhri Zain in 3rd. These are the top 3. Of course, it has been an interesting session. Nothing major happened because, of course, the session was wet, so it was impossible to see the real value of the cars, or new drivers didn't have the opportunity to test their cars on dry conditions. So after interesting, but could have been more productive for them. So
Yeah, at least they got some track time.
oh yeah, in the wet conditions as well. So when basically rain conditions are rare in general. So yeah.
Yeah. Now we will play a little video. It's just a quick trailer for the 2022 testing, and I will play it now. And yeah, that's it. See you all on the next season in pre-season testing. Of course, the track launches, not track launches, the car launches. God damn it, the car launches are happening, of course, during the New Year's and during the start of next year. So be tuned in for that. And yeah, see you all, everybody.
That's it for 2021, and